And we are starting Game 3 of Rhett vs. Castro, tied 1-1 in the Team Liquid Star League round of 16, sponsored by PokerStrategy.com. And we see Rhett spawning down at the south in the purple pieces as the Zergies, and we see Castro spawning as the orange Zerg pieces at the left. And note that Rhett is already scouting in the right direction, Castro's scouting in not the right direction. I'm not so sure. I feel like this is an enormous advantage to Rhett. I mean, a lot of players are going to have builds or scout patterns that assume some sort of, or that take the three-player map architecture into account, so we'll just get some early scout out there anyways. But I mean, as Rhett, it obviously can't hurt to get that little bit of an extra boost and send that Overlord in the right direction.
Right, and when we see kind of, the favored player against the underdog, and as we see this game, just an aside, I'm not even sure anymore Castro is the underdog, but coming into the match, a lot of people would have thought that usually the underdog gets, the scouting advantage or the build order advantage, and then the, supposed better player can't overcome the disadvantage from that opening. I think it's so funny to see the complete opposite situation happening here. Red is always getting the scouting advantage and the build order advantage, and yet here we are 1-1 in Game 3. So, all the credit to Castro. What can I say? He's playing amazing thus far.
Yeah, I mean, very, very impressive games by Castro. Neither player doing anything too funky at this point in time. Very close, which of course makes me feel a little bit nervous because I have $5 esports dollars on the line for this series. And it looks like Red is, in fact, esports dollars, and everything is still going as evenly as can be, as Red finally just calming down and getting a 12 pool, then getting the 12 gas. Looks like Castro's doing almost the identical thing with just slightly off timings because of those drone minings. But I mean, it's kind of funny to think that Castro has done the exact same build in all three of these games, despite the fact that we discussed at length how unpredictable he would be in this series.
That's very true, and I think there's no tournament as high exposure as a TSL, so I think a lot of players kind of get these bad reputations, and then we see them go through the TSL and show their true skill, and it's like, oh my god, he doesn't just all in, like, what? So I saw that happen in the original TSL. Here we are in the PokerStrategy.com TSL, and a lot of people are going to be making their names for themselves here. As you mentioned, Rhett going 12 pool, 12 extractor, then getting the hatchery. Castro going 12 pool, 11 extractor, only 2 on gas. Rhett also having 2 on gas, and then getting the hatchery. So really, really identical builds here. We're getting Zergling speed first from Castro.
Identical.
And
Oh yeah, I was just, laughing. It's just identical. There's no difference. Both players are getting, like, I think the only difference is the fact that Rhett got an extra drone. And other than that, I mean, getting the Zergling speed at the same time, getting the expansions up. Look at this. At both expansions, they only differ by about 30 hit points. And, I guess the Overlords are the biggest change in this match. Overlords are in different positions. I guess we could talk about that,
Oh, I like Castro seeing Zerg's Redlings. Red Zergling sneaking out, and Castro sneaks his Zergling around. So he gets full information here. He's going to try to take down a drone, but now he realizes that's not going to work, so he's just going to run his Zergling around to keep scouting. Looks like Rhett pulled his Zerglings back as well. Oh, I like this Zergling getting a lot of damage on the drone. Could eventually, one day, if he works hard, he could take this out. Oh, looks like he loses control of it now. So everything's probably going to settle down now. Both getting started on their layers as we move to a mirror game.
And this is one thing I love so much about Rhett. This is the, hallmark of strong players, is absolutely never abandoning any unit no matter what. Castro relentlessly keeping this Zergling alive in Rhett's main, and even though it's not doing too much directly, it's a big distraction for Rhett, and it can be real nice to be in Castro's position right now because you feel like you're putting a huge amount of pressure on your opponent without necessarily risking anything at all. Look at the Zergling just saying, oh, that was a fun little walk in Rhett's base. Let's just go ahead and return home for the evening.
That is so tilting, too. If someone gets that Zergling in your base for that long, and you don't even get the satisfaction of killing it, it's like when someone lurker drops, kills all your probes, and then actually loads them up and flies away. It's just so annoying. And here comes Castro running down the map. He's going to try to set up that Peruvian arc we've seen work so well for him again. Looks like Red is up for the task. But Red is kind of in a strange position. I don't like his arc set up way down here. I'd like to see it a little higher at this kind of secondary choke where Castro's Overlord is moving towards, because as he's down here, Castro has access to harass the natural, force Rhett's hand, force Rhett to come to him, and here we go, the Zerglings approaching each other now.
Oh, looks like the Zerglings are backing off. So look at all this pressure that's being put on by Castro. It looks like Rhett isn't falling for it too much. He's... Oh, actually, never mind. Rhett forgot an Overlord. His Overlord's behind. He's getting supply block right now. Not the biggest deal, because the Spire's almost out. But look at Rhett moving out with all these Zerglings. And he spots the counterattack. Oh my god, he's going to do some serious damage to that. Pull all the Zerglings back and... Ugh. Man, I mean, I think that's real smart for Rhett to have predicted that, because we've already seen there's the sunken colony outside the front of Castro's base. Castro getting some Zerglings in there. This is going to mess up the mining a little bit, but as long as there's guys in gas, I think Rhett's going to be pretty content. Kind of sending a few too many Zerglings, I think. You just, like 4 control groups of Zerglings are running around in the back of the base. My god, Rhett really wants to kill those Zerglings.
I would have liked to see Castro follow up with maybe 12 Zerglings in the natural, kill a few drones, and then get out of there. That would have been nice to see. We see Rhett supply blocked again at 34, but not that big a deal. Now the Zerglings from Castro get taken out. As I said, getting supply blocked, not that big a deal, because Mutalisks have begun being made now. Castro with 2 out, Rhett with 2 out. Looks like Rhett is a little ahead in economy, I would say. His minerals are a little higher. He has a few more drones. Looks like Castro possibly made more Zerglings. And again, he's got this counter set up at the top right natural. Very nice. I like having your Zerglings split up. Another thing that's kind of put Castro behind a little bit is he's committed Zerglings to splitting up, so he's had to make this sunken colony. He lost a drone, he lost minerals, and this is a result. A bit less supply and 1 less muta.
Yeah, this is the start of a game that I really wanted to watch. And just as a brief note, those Zerglings that were in counterattack position, now retreating back, I think did spot Rhett's Overlord up at the north. And that's something that I was going to say is probably Rhett's biggest vulnerability right now. Castro, even though he wasn't able to make that extra drone and is probably a little bit behind economically, he doesn't really have anything too far out. And look at this. Here are the Mutalisks coming right out here. There's that Zergling of Castro wandering around the middle of the map. And this is going to be a giant pain in the ass for Rhett. This is the last thing you want to have happen. You just stabilized against this big Zergling push. You've just built your geyser at your expansion, so you're going to be low on minerals. And then you lose an Overlord. I mean, not quite the spot you want to be in.
A little bit of a difference in the builds here. We look at Rhett's natural. He's already got his gas. He's been mining from that for quite a while. 200 gas missing from there. Castro just putting up his extractor now, so that's not going to matter too much at this point as Rhett has to rebuild his Overlord. But there is going to be a slight timing where Rhett has more gas, more Mutalisks, and that could be a bit of problems for Castro. Of course, Castro's shown superior tactics. He could take it back with his harassing or threatening a Zergling counter.
You know, it's kind of funny. On any other map, Castro might have a really huge issue being able to come back in this. But the fact is, you have all these gas expansions at funky places on the map. You can afford to build a few extra drones and even turtle up a little bit. And then you can try to extend your lead later by taking gas expansions like that. And I want to see if Castro is going to take that sort of creative route or just stick to straight up standard, tried and true. It looks like Castro, having a good foresight, getting that +1 carapace upgrade at his Spire and his main. That's a great signal when a player knows that he is feeling in an even bout. He knows he can't die, and he wants to get a big advantage later. So he goes ahead and gets that +1 carapace upgrade. I'm going to be regularly checking Rhett's Spire to see if he's getting anything like that, because that can easily swing the game way back into Castro's favor.
Oh my! Somehow Castro got a Zergling that ran the gauntlet through Rhett's natural and got into the main. So he saw a lot of Scourge, and he also got a good look at Rhett's Mutalisk count. So we see Rhett now actually getting geared up to attack, and because Castro's invested 150 gas into that upgrade, he might be a little behind here. He might not be able to defend this. Overlord going to go down instantly. Looks like Rhett doesn't even care. He's just going straight for it. Oh, a lot of Scourge coming in, not being microed at all, but that doesn't even matter. Oh, good God, the Scourge. taking out a lot, but Castro has the advantage of being at home, so a lot of bounce damage going to be absorbed by these Zerglings. Look at them coming in. I think Castro is not going to be able to win the battle, but he'll be able to just absorb it and kind of reinforce quickly. Maybe not. Rhett with 4 Zerglings, a lot of Scourge coming out. Rhett losing a Mutalisk instantly, trying to show off his professional Mutalisk micro, taking out Scourge. A little bit of back and forth here, taking out Zerglings where he can, and that's not, that's actually a bit of a big deal. Taking out Zerglings, that can add up for the big Zergling battle later. Looks like that Rhett's going to be driven back, but he definitely got the better of that in that exchange.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Rhett be a little bit more aggressive with those Scourge. I mean, your Mutalisks really have quite a lot of leeway for, the spaces and the angles you can get if there's only 3 Scourge. I really want to see Rhett, just taking it from those Scourge. I'm a little surprised at how much damage that these Scourge are able to do, considering that Rhett, I know, is using that as sort of like the foundation for his play. And this is not many Mutalisks. It just looks like just 4 Mutalisks in the main, and I mean Castro's already starting to restabilize just a little bit here. I'm not so sure that Rhett got as big of a lead as I would have expected.
Right, and we take a look at the Spire. Overlord Carapace at about 90%. So when that finishes, that's a huge deal because the bounce damage gets the armor subtracted each time. So it's almost like you have 3 armor on those Mutalisks. Rhett coming in, getting a good shot. Castro answers back, but I think Rhett has more Mutalisks here, and he has that superior micro. Looks like Castro deciding to just go for a counterattack. I don't think this is the smartest move, and he's not taking the time to set up his army, so he's just going to kind of funnel in here. Looks like Rhett's going to be able to defend that, and looking back, Rhett recalling his Mutalisk, taking a lot of damage as he's just running back, not really paying attention. So he wins the Zergling battle, but taking a lot of damage, and Castro has +1 Carapace completed now.
But look back in Castro's main. Before Rhett ran back, he killed off all those drones in the main. And the front, even though, maybe you're taking a little bit too much damage, Rhett has clearly the lead right now. Huge economy. Just going to completely crush his opponent. Even though that +1 Carapace is done, look, there's some nice Muta snipes. And now it looks like the army of Castro is completely gone. No more Zerglings, and soon to be no more Mutalisks. It looks to me, yes, GG, Castro loses game 2. Rhett is currently up 2-1, which means I am that much closer to winning 5 esports bucks.
Oh, God. That's like my salary for 2 years. But we see there, that's the gambit you play when you invest that much gas into getting that Carapace. If it finishes and you're not too far behind, you have a huge advantage. If it doesn't, then you're missing 1.5 Mutalisks, and it's really that half Mutalisk that matters. But you're just behind when the final attack comes. So we see Rhett found that timing. He attacked before the Carapace was finished, actually twice, and got the advantage from it every time. Castro never really reaped the full benefit of his investment.
Yeah, I think there's something to note about the sort of patterns we're seeing in Castro's play, which is a big reliance on doing a lot of magic with those early Zerglings. He's very aggressive with them. He's positioning them in very cute ways about the map. But anytime you do that, you do have to build a little bit of extra defense back home. So we've seen in 2 of these 3 games, Castro's committing to building that sunken colony, and Rhett being very patient, just not even leaving his natural with his Zerglings. That means all that cute action Castro can do with his counterattacks can't happen. All the defense that sunken colony was invested for is just useless because there's no attack coming. And Rhett cleverly just taking that as an economic opportunity and building a few extra drones and getting a few extra Mutalisks that he moved out at just the right time, right when Castro had invested in that 150 gas for that upgrade.
Right, and I guess Rhett playing more of a kind of Korean economic style where you don't build anything unless you absolutely need it, and we see it there. He never built the sunken colony. He always tries to do the Mutalisk micro. Castro playing more of a I suppose, risky, gambity, tactical style, trying to kind of outplay your opponent when he moves out, doing counterattacks, doing backstabs, things like that. So very interesting to see the 2 players going up against each other. As you mentioned, you are that much closer to 5 esports bucks. I have tears streaming down my eyes.
One time!
So that means that Red is up 2-1, and that means we're on map 4, which is going to be New Tornado.
I mean, let's not spend too much time talking about this map, because the analysis is going to be pretty similar to Fighting Spirit. 4 players, a lot of opportunities to sneak away with a 12 hatch. I would not be surprised at all to see either players, but in particular Rhett, doing a 12 hatch this game.
All right, with that being said, let's not spend much time thinking about that. Let's all have our prayers for Castro, and for my 5 esports dollars, let's do it. Let's do game 4.